Right, welcome to it, guys. Another episode of Chronicles of Motion. Today we're diving into one of the biggest stories in South African cycling this year, the announcement of our national team for the 2025 Road World Champs in Kigali, Rwanda. It's a historic moment. For the first time ever, the Worlds will be held on African soil on a brutally tough course that promises over 5,000 meters of climbing. Cycling South Africa has named a diverse team across the categories from juniors to elites. But of course, with every selection comes the questions, why these riders and why not others? Why, for example, are World Tour pros like Ryan Gibbons, Louis Meintjes, or others like Willie Smith not on the list? To help us unpack all of this, from the terrain to the tactics, the selections to the emissions, and what the event means for African cycling, I'm joined by someone who knows the sport inside and out, and we know him so well, our weekly podcaster on the weekly wrap-up show. It's Jeremy Maartens. Jeremy, great to have you here.
Steve, how's it, guys? How is it going?
How's it? Yeah, all good, eh? Looking forward to a little run later on. I saw you had your Romany cream, so that means you're going up for a run later.
100%. Got to get my 12Ks in today.
12Ks because of one Romany.
Yeah. I've got to try to push for 30Ks this week. So I did 10 on Tuesday. The aim is 12 today, and then the 8 or 10 on Saturday. Then we're up to 30K a week.
That's a good week. That's a good week. I'm going to head out and try to run 5Ks with the dogs. That's my objective. I've got a meeting later with Craig Bezaidenote at 11. So if I can run in between this and then get to him, then it's been a good morning. Then I'm happy. Yeah. Then all I need to do is pay tax and everything else is sorted.
So he's better. Thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly. Jeremy, we know that every time a selection comes out, there are a bunch of questions that come with it as well, and a bunch of different opinions. Some of them put their opinions forward with some validity, some of them with lots of naivety. You have had a little bit of experience here, and this is why I was keen to have this conversation, in that you've been a team manager for an SA team internationally at an international meet at a World Champs, and you have been on the selection panel as well for many years over. Give me a little rundown, your experience background, which will validate you in this position to give some informed insights around this process.
Well, Steve, I think it's very important that we have this discussion and that people are aware of the process that is taken to get to the point where the team is announced. I was involved in the national team selection for quite a while. I forget exactly the amount of years. So I'm kind of familiar with the process and how it gets to that. So I think first off the bat, these trips to world champs or national road teams all over the world, it is a self-funded event, meaning that the riders will need to come up with funds to allow for them to participate. So a national long list is sent out, meaning a list of riders who are identified. There could be potential candidates for eligibility for selection. A long list is sent out to all the riders, and on that long list, they said, are you available during date X to Y? Are you able to make funds available, as this is a self-funded trip? And then the riders will put their hands up as an expression of interest to say, yes, I'm available, or thanks, but no thanks, I'm unavailable. Reasons aren't given. Sometimes riders will say due to X, Y, Z. So from that long list, a list is then narrowed down to riders who are available. Now, of course, this makes sense that if a selection panel decides, all right, let's go select the best riders for whatever course it is, and the national team is selected, and then during the opening week of the announcement of selection, riders come back and say, sorry, I can't be available for whatever reason. And this has happened in the past on numerous occasions. Then the selectors will have to go back again, reselect the team, and then re-announce the team. And then it has happened in the past that team, the second version 2, guys come back, look, sorry, I can't make it. So hence the process of sending out a long list and sending out a letter or expression of interest. So yes, I'm available, and yes, I can meet the requirements in order for me to line up for the race. Once that team is there, then it goes through the selection criteria.
Okay. So, and just going through that, you've done this process for a good couple of years already. You've been on those selection committees and you've been through the process of all that background data, race results, who's a good rider. It may not be about winning races. It may be about like being a solid role player in a team, because a team isn't just about a bunch of race winners who can't work together. You have to make a selection that's going to be logical in terms of getting best results out for the country.
Absolutely. The old adage, horses for courses. And if you look at the course this year in Kigali, it is by no means a flat race. So your stronger type of riders wouldn't typically be expected to get a result. It's going to be more your climbier, strong guys that are there. I would say Byron Munson is a perfect fit for this. Hot off a top three, third place over in the Tour of Portugal. He can climb. He's got very long legs. I say that in the sense that he can go the distance, so it makes sense for him. You wouldn't want to put an out-and-out sprinter, strong man into this type of race and expect a result from that rider.
Yeah, absolutely. So knowing this sort of selection process, you also understand that part of that selection process is selecting a management team at the back end. And we're going to ask a couple of questions later on about how important that team is, the structure of the team, the workability of that team to the riders. You can't just have someone who may be excellent at admin, but they got no ability to communicate with riders. You need to find the person that understands the sport, understands personalities, knows the different languages a little bit over there as well, knows how those Europeans operate. And now we got the new dynamic of where Europeans stepping into the middle of a African city. It's going to be a dynamic little world in there.
If it had to go 100% truly African, it would be very different.
It'd be wild.
But I suspect that wherever World Champs goes, they've got their little bubble, and things that happen inside that bubble remain the same. Whether it's in China, whether it's in South America, whether it's in Africa, the common language. The common language will be English. So from a race logistical point of view, the same process will happen as what it always has happened, but the challenge will come with the external logistics outside of that bubble, will make it a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, it's funny because 25, 30 years ago, French would have been that common language. Yeah. And now it's shifted to English as the universality, the world experience grows of cycling. So next question for you, Jeremy. What makes the 2025 Road World Champs in Kigali is such a historic and significant moment, both for South African and African cycling? Your perspective.
I hate to be the book nerd here. Everyone's saying this is the first time World Champs has been to Africa, and everyone's doing flip flex and happily, and rightly so. But just a slight correction here. This is not the first time a World Championship event has taken place in Africa. There has been Junior World Track Champs in Bawel in 1997, I think then again in 2008, but that's Junior World Track Champs. Then we had the Road World Race Championships, also in Cape Town in that 2009-2010 bubble. So international events of that magnitude have occurred in Africa, but we have not had the big boys racing in Africa before. So it is a significant milestone for African cycling. And if you look at the Tour of Rwanda and how that tour has grown and how the Kigali stage has grown, I think it's going to be a whole new experience for the whole wide world of cycling. They're going to see crowd support and people support like they've never seen before. I think it's going to be a new experience for everybody, the riders involved and the bike fans involved.
Yeah, it's Rwanda is an interesting place because I don't know how to put this without running into slight political problems, but most of Africa has gone through a decolonialization in that process. They end up becoming third world, and then they really do have to hit the bottom to be able to realize they need to clean up. And Rwanda's gone through that process. It had horrendous political faction fighting and genocide and everything else. And from everything I've heard from people who've been to Rwanda, it's amazing because you don't litter because someone's going to shout at you. You don't be you don't do all those things that, say, we're still going through in Africa, where we see everyone just open something, chuck it as they're walking, don't care. No one follows the rules on the road. Taxis all over the place, everyone fighting for their own space. Whereas Rwanda is an interesting place. I think it's quite a cool one to look at, because they have put a lot into their cycling environment, particularly the racing side of it. So not where in South Africa we have a massive, fun ride contingent, lots of participation. We don't necessarily have lots of high performance athletes and a big focus on the high performance. It is being changed slowly, but Rwanda's done a good job around that top end. And we saw that with the international events a few weeks ago in Namibia, where our South African top end pros are out there racing, and particularly the ladies. Sure.
Ladies section, yeah.
Yeah, there was some massive performances out there. So, having worlds on African soil for the first time is massive, the big worlds. From your perspective, what opportunities does this unlock for our riders and the continent?
Look, I think from the continent's perspective, for the last 10 to 15 years, there's been an increased influx of riders from Africa that are making their way into the European professional racing circuit. I know JP van Zyl at the World Cycling Centre in Paarl, used to be at Potch. He's done a lot of good work, and he's been very, very, very active in the background with a lot of riders moving forward. I know Robert Hunter, he is now an agent, and he does a lot of work with African riders to get them into a lot of the big level teams. I think all these little things are raising the profile of African cycling. You hear stories about Ineos opening up a high performance training facility in Kenya, I think next year or the year after that. So if a team like Ineos and that management company like Dave Brailsford, they're seeing the opportunities there of talented athletes, and they're prepared to invest in it. And it's if you look at the middle distance and long distance running of the world, Africans dominate that. So running, cycling, different sports, but similar cardiovascular systems. And if they can become the best in the world, I'm sure you've got future Tour de France champions and world champions that are lingering there in the heights of Kenya, and even here in the depths of Soweto, Randburg, Santon, and Benoni.
Yep, absolutely. So I have got a video here. I'm going to try and play this into the script of the course and how it's going to play out. It's quite a complex little course that they've got here in Kigali. It includes 5,400 meters of climbing. Does it suit our style of racing for the guys on the local scene in South Africa? I think we can have a discussion around that. Does it suit those who've been racing in Europe with lots of twists and turns, typically your north of France, Belgium type environment? It's not going to, we doubt it's going to be rain ridden, but it could happen. But those with the bike handling skills, it's definitely going to make a difference too. So I'm going to go to my screen and let's see if it pulls it up. Right. Here we go. 167 Ks, 5 meters vertical ascent.
If you could pull the image a little bit up.
I'm going to full screen in. So they've got, I think it's 9 laps of that basic circuit. They're going to be repeating that later. Then they do one big loop, one Kigali, near the Kigali, then back into the circuit with a small lap before the finish. And each of those you can just see as like a saw edge. Hills all over the place. The Côte de Piage is in there as well. Let me go back to your screen. And good. We don't need that to play anymore. Okay. Get myself back into the podcast here. Right. It's going to be an interesting course, that's for sure. The Kigali course includes that 5,400 and whatever it is meters of climbing. How does that terrain shape the type of rider South Africa needs to field for this one? I think you've already answered this question.
Yeah. Look, the finishing circuits are going to be very hard, and this is reality. Not to be the stick in the mud and be that guy. The favorites of the race are going to dominate it there. I think the South African guys, if I look across the board here, they'll be looking, if anything, to try and get into the break and try and put the names out there. Think of Willie Smith a good couple of years ago in Norway. He had a very good season in Spain. Then he got the opportunity to race the World Champs, and the team that he said, look, if you get into the front and make the action of the race, the contract is waiting for you at the end. And he did that, and he got a contract. So I think a lot of the South African riders will know full well that when Tadej Pogacar decides, okay, boys, I see you in the douches. If the best in the world can't go with him, then it'll be a massive ask for South African guys. So you've got to start breaking down the race and looking for other opportunities and other places for you to shine. It's not just always the race is not just about the race winner. There's a whole lot of different aspects to it, lots of parts to it, and there's a lot of value in all those different parts for a non-World Tour rider, a non-big name rider, to put your name out there and showcase what you got.
Yeah. And there is going to be, if the guys are going to work it together and look after each other, an opportunity to nurse a rider through. I mean, it's a long way to go over such a hilly, twisty route. They're going to have to look at positioning, obviously. Every one of those corners, every one of those little climbs are going to be moments that are going to stretch the elastic, and that elastic's only going to stretch so many times before groups start shattering off the back. It's going to be an important factor to play out for our team. We're going to have to make sure that those tactics are in place and there's some sort of leadership structure within it.
Yeah, but I think also, Steve, they talk about the elephant in the room here. It's very difficult for a rider to come up with about 50 grand that he or she must pay and then go to a race and say, you must commit everything that you got to your team leader, be it X or be it Y.
Yeah.
And that's your job. When, hang on, I've had to source the funds for me to be here. So it does become a little bit tricky from a team tactics point of view. And like I said just now, that, what is the goal for the team? If the goal is to get a top 10 placing, I think looking at the riders here, looking at the course, I think the rider that stands the best shot of that would be Ashley Moolman Pasio. Across the other categories, I think they would be best advised to identify strategic points in the race to try and make an impact on the race, and not think of, maybe I get a top 20 at World Champs, which is a good result. But if you're chasing a professional contract or you are looking for things to further your career, top 20 at Worlds is not really going to make that much of a difference.
Yeah, and there is, just before we go into the selection and the list of riders that we've got, there is a dynamic of a fair number of riders not being that keen on coming to Africa, and it is it's a strange thing to look at. Like there's been this undertone of slight negativity about it. I think is going to be just fine. Kigali has been, and Rwanda is an amazingly safe place. It's a place that just cheers on and supports road racing and cycling. So it's like Belgium in Africa. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
But there are going to be a couple of riders who have chosen not to go to this World Champs, which is going to be interesting as well. We're going to see the big dogs in there, the ones who can afford lots of support, and then we're going to see a dropout of some. So anyway, let's get on to it. Cycling SA is selected across every category from juniors to elites, including under 23. What does this breadth of selection say about the depth of our national program? Is there a national program? You're a selector in this process. And the program for selection, I'm going to throw back at you as a question before we start reading out the names of the riders. How do we get to this process of having these riders on a list? Where do we see these riders performing? How do these selectors know these riders are of the quality that they are going to perform at a World Championships?
Well, I think the world these days has become so small. With this device I'm talking into right here, the telephone, you can track what the South African riders are doing all over the world within half an hour each morning. You can figure out who's doing what and who's doing where. Telephone calls, WhatsApps, it's so easy. So from the long list, I mentioned it earlier, the long list of riders that are put out, you've got a list of names you're looking at, and you track their results, you check their performances, you make contact with the riders. What are they doing? What are their goals? So it is a complex process, but it's also not super complex. I know Jamie Taylor, he's very involved in keeping contact with the riders. So look, I don't know the whole internal process now, how it's worked this year, but he does source a lot of the information. I would assume that he relays that through to the rest of the selectors, and then they would have discussions on final selection for races. And it come down to, again, horses for courses.
Yep. So let's go into the list of names. Have you got that list in front of you? Do you want to read it out, or do you want me to do it?
Oh, we can go category by category. I've got it in front of me.
Cool. Let's go for it. So category 1, let's we start with the big dogs, should we? The elite men road race.
The big dog. You've only qualified by spot.
Yeah, we don't even have a listed there. I don't even see a reserve under the elite men.
It's look. When we started this conversation, your discussion was that why do we not see the World Tour riders in here, the likes of Louis Meintjes? I mean, it wouldn't take a rocket science to figure out a course like this would suit Louis if he was up to it and he wanted to do it. It's a very hard circuit. He's South Africa's premier climber. Something like this would suit him, but for his professional aspirations and what he is, consummate professional, World Champs does not feature on his radar. So he says, look, thanks, but no thanks. So that's why he's not there. Same thing for Ryan Gibbons. He said, thanks guys, but he's a professional rider, and his job is to deliver performances and results at races where the team that pays him is where he should be at. So World Champs wouldn't feature in his radar, and he would say thanks, but no thanks. But a guy like Byron Munson, he's been on a very, very good roll of late. His form is on the up. He's the kind of guy that would be looking for a solid performance. That could mean the difference between riding for a Continental, Pro Continental, or World Tour team. So he'll be champing at the bit to get stuck into this race.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's a definite no questions asked type selection from my perspective. I would say he's brilliant, and he is our sole entrant in the elite men's category for the road race. We don't have a reserve in there, so he'll be man alone. I was talking a little bit about what would happen in a race like this, where you have lots of team dynamics happening with these teams with big structures, big funding. They're going to put like 5 riders on the front and control the race. Byron, he's Manalean. He's going to have to race this thing very cleverly in his head.
Yeah, I think up until you get to the hard finishing circuits, you're going to have to gamble. You're going to have to gamble on a team like Slovenia to control the race. But you suspect the guys like that, they're not going to let a break go and let it run 8 minutes and slowly bring the race back and, give a nice gentle run in. Every opportunity, they'll try and blow the race to pieces and make it as hard as possible for everybody, not give anyone a free ride. So Byron's going to have to capitalize off the big dogs' tactics. That's it.
Yeah, he's going to have to work hard there. And then in the under 23 men, I see we've got Blaine Kick, our criterium monster. I think he's a good man for this. He can actually go up a hill if he needs to. He doesn't like it that much, but he can go up a hill repeatedly, particularly if there's big power required. And then Josh Dyke, the other man who's been out there slowly getting more and more experience under the belt, occasionally coming up with some nice results as well. He's got experience in the high-end elbow-to-elbow racing as well. What do you think of those two?
Blaine Kick, I think he is going to be one of those riders that will identify a strategic target area for him. I think Blaine will agree with me when I say this. I don't suspect he's going to be there when it comes down to it. like a crunch end of the race when they're going up those steep climbs, but he can make an impact in other parts of the race. So I suspect he'll be looking to get into that early break and, get into the move and try and survive as long as he can. He's been on a good run of late in France. He's getting good international racing exposure. So yeah, good choice from my perspective. Guy like Josh Dyke. He won a criterium in Spain about a month ago. He's been racing quite a bit lately, racing some high-end races, getting a lot of experience. Yeah, good choice.
Yeah. So I'm reading, and I've got to look to you as the experienced person. I looked at the press release that they've sent out from Cycling South Africa and the format of the press release. I've got a question for you. It looks like we have a road race selection, elite men, under 23 men. It then runs elite men, Byron Munton only, then reserve blank. Then it goes into Brandon Downs and Callum Orniston. So my second round question are, did they just put that reserve randomly in that position and it shouldn't have been there and someone just didn't copy it properly in the copy-paste process?
I think what happened was, I'm on the CSA's website here and they've got an expanded Excel spreadsheet, and I think with them copying pasting the Excel spreadsheet to the different format, it might have changed the layout.
Because
I also noticed yesterday that for the time trial, elite women time trial, we had Josh Dyke lined up for this. So I think somewhere along the line the columns got crossed.
He's riding in the elite woman. Well, people can select. I think the UCI has finally changed that. Now they have to be a little bit more careful. But okay, so other riders in the elite men's category, this would then fall in with Brandon Downs and Callum Orniston in there, because Callum's been
reserves,
under the reserves in there. Are they reserves? So they're not selected riders.
So in the elite men, Byron Munton selected. The reserves are Brandon Downs and Callum Orniston.
Okay. So
Steve, this is just going to reiterate what I said a bit earlier, that the likes of Louis, the likes of Billy, the likes of Steph, the likes of Ryan, they've said thanks, but no thanks. So their names aren't eligible for selection. The likes of Callum and Brandon, and I'm sure quite a few others have said, I can avail myself for world champs if it is needed. So just for clarity for everybody out there, the guys that you don't see there, it's not that they're not good enough, and it's not that they are not high enough standards, it's just that they're not available for
whatever reason. So what does reserve mean?
If Byron Munton had to get ill, like horribly ill building into the race, or God forbid he had to have a crash and break something and he's out the race, then Brandon and Callum would get a phone call or email and say, make yourself ready, we are going to Rwanda.
Okay, so they put their name up. They're there on the short list as such, and if something happens to Byron, they would be the next riders for call up into that process. So we've only qualified then for one elite man into the World Championship road race, in other words.
Yes.
Okay. Under 23, we discussed Blaine Kick, Josh Dyke, Pedri Krauser, P3, doing very, very well. Warren Moorman, a nice selection of under 23 riders.
Yeah, I think Blaine, yes, racing in Europe, performing well. Josh, yes, racing in Europe, performing well. Pedri, racing in Europe, performing well. He's currently racing the Tour 11 here. Warren has had a couple of stints abroad this year, but he is the current South African under 23 road race champion. If you have a look at the reserves, you've got a rider there, Kieran Gorge. That would have been a difficult selection amongst all of those riders there. Kieran has had some good results. Been racing 2 weeks ago in Italy. He got a 6th and a 12th in an under 23 race. So his form was on the up. That would have been a difficult selection. I can just imagine there was a lot of up and down regarding him.
Decisions,
but as it stands, Warren is the under 23 road race champion. So I think that would have helped his cause. We have a look at the Reserve, Rainer Skitter and Matthew Sim.
Also good riders as well, and good guys as backups if anything should happen to any of those riders. But like you said, these are the They are the top end performers in the under 23. Blaine Kick, Josh Dyke, Pedri Kraza, and Warren Moorman with that SA title. Good experience over in Europe as well.
Yeah, and Warren is on a racing stint now. He's racing in Poland with Emil van Niekerk at the Meta Pro Cycling, so he is on a racing block. So that can hopefully bring his level up and he'll be able to be competitive at Worlds. I think Warren would kind of fall into a similar sort of category as what Blaine would be, meaning that you would look for a opportunity, try and make something happen. Don't just sit in a bunch and wait for the final to.
You're not going to be hiding the whole time. You're going to be racing with a strategy.
No. You don't want to fall victim to when the big boys say, all right, Oaks, let's go.
Yeah, caught at the back and shattered out for no reason at all. You could have been further forward at the right time if you could read that race. Onto our elite and under 23 women. Elite women, do you want to go through that list?
Number one, top of the pile, this should be almost a self-selection. Ashley Moorman-Pasio. I think going into a circuit like this, if she's on a good day, she can look for a top 10 placing. She's a very, very good climber. And I think what the circuit is like, that your top climbers, they're going to be there at the end. I mean, she performed internationally. This should be right up her driveway.
Yeah.
And then you got Maddie LaRue. She's just come back off an injury. She's starting her racing. I think the timing could be right for her because Worlds is 5 weeks away. And if she can get a good training block in a good racing block, she can hit Worlds on the up. And on her day, a circuit like this will suit her. If she can go up a hill very well. And if the form is right and the opportunity presents itself, it could be a very good day for her.
Yeah. Next up on that list,
Sonara Grove, our current elite South African road race champion. Another rider. She had a good start, early policy. She came back to South Africa for a month to 6 weeks. She's headed back to Europe. Last week, she came in, she got 16th in a race in Belgium. A tough rider, always looking, I think in a race like World Champs, she'll be looking to try and light the race up or trying to initiate something to get herself into a positive position. Sonara is not a sit back and wait and, while I'm at Worlds, thank you, I've got a lacquer tracksuit here and a nice set of kits. She'll go there looking for an opportunity and looking to make an impact in the race.
And I see the next up are super clever tactical team riding and quite capable of winning big races herself, Tiffany Keep.
Yeah, Tiffany Keep. She's been on the European continent for a big chunk of the year this year. She's had some very good success racing in the British Series. Also had some very good success racing in Belgium. She for me would be another one of those riders. You don't want to say no-brainer, but she deserves a spot there. Not too many questions asked about it. And I think she also a tough rider who'll be looking for an opportunity to animate the race and make things happen.
And a clear hierarchy in the setup as well. Lots of experience, lots of humbleness, lots of power available as well. But the leader there, the one with most experience and the leadership mentality as well, Ashley Moorman-Pasio at the top of the pile. I think she's going to keep things together nicely for the team. What do you think?
Yeah, she's going into this race. I think a top 10 result for her is definitely on the cards. She's a consummate pro. She's been doing it for a long time. She knows what needs to be done. I mean, we've had Tiffany, Sonara, and Maddie on the chat, so I think the guys who've been watching what we do will get a good idea for what these ladies are like. They're not they're not there to make up numbers. You can just hear by the way they talk. They're hungry for results. Clever ladies. They know what they're getting into. They'll definitely go into the game plan.
It's almost like a super team, that one. I would say if you were to give me a list of names of riders and say, hey, what would your ideal SA team look like? Well, there we go. That's the ideal team. On to the under 23 women.
Yes, Sonika Klopper and Nadine Visser. Sonika Klopper has been riding this year for Chronicles Pro Cycling, breaking up a couple of results along the way. They've been doing pretty well in Zanzi National Road Series.
Yep.
Nadine Visser also part of the National Road Series, and she's been getting us some good results. And obviously, the selectors have ticked all the boxes, and they are there on merit.
Yeah. Going on to our juniors. Yeah.
This would have been a contentious one.
Particularly amongst the men. I'm going to start with our ladies because relatively straightforward. I mean, two very, very classy riders selected there on the ladies' side. Do you want to shoot at that one quickly? The women's junior selected riders.
The junior South African women's road race champion, Erin Maartens, she's there. I think it's no brainer. She performs in all disciplines, on and off the road bike and the mountain bike. High performer, very, very good. And then another one there, Megan Buerta. Yeah, she's been very consistent over the last couple of years in South Africa, proving that she is one of the best junior road riders in South Africa. Well deserved spot. I think she'll do herself proud. I think with the two riders that we have going there, also they'll be looking for the opportunity to get into the move and look to get into something. I mean, I know that in the past, I think it was in Australia 2 or 3 years ago, the junior women, they got a bit of a lesson there, meaning they're getting dropped in the first couple Ks. And I hope that between the coaches of these two young ladies and the ladies themselves, they've done a lot of work, and they can go there and actually be in the fight and put themselves in a position to let everybody know that, hey, we are in the race as well.
Listen, looking at the influence of someone like Tyrone and One Movement's athlete management, he's got quite a few of these riders in the squad here. Erin being one of them, and 5 riders. It's absolutely amazing, but he does a whole lot around. It's not just managing the athlete with contracts. It's about preparing the athlete for the process, making sure they know what they should be doing in a race. A lot of people think it's just about winning races. We've done this over and over in our conversations. Obviously, you have to have wins, but you can only have wins if you got all the other basics right. And Erin, I think she's going to have a proper education here from the guys. I think she's got the capabilities up there. Megan Buerta as well. Fair amount of experience. Could be a new one in terms of the elbow-to-elbow racing style of a world champs for her. Whereas Erin, I think with the more aggressive mountain biking, she may be a little bit more comfortable in the bunch. We'll have to see how that plays out for them.
I think, Steve, I just think I have to choose my words carefully here, because I want to come out and say openly and bluntly, but that could come across as pretty blunt and uncouth. At SA Champs, the junior road race at SA Champs, you've got a group of maybe 20 riders, and of which there's maybe 10 that are really competitive. And these young ladies are going to go get on a start line with 120, 140 of the best junior riders in the world. It's going to be very, very different to what they have raced. I mean, I'm just thinking about the local racing that I put on here at Eastside Chris. The women's attendance across the board is generally very poor. They don't but there's not a very high amount of women riders to actually increase the level. And I think it happens a lot that when these young ladies go to world champs, they are not used to riding in bunches of 120, going through the corners at 40 plus K an hour with riders leaning on you, riders crashing around them.
It's why I agree with you 100%. I think the ladies racing should be with the men's racing, and it should be on an equal footing, because those ladies, let me tell you, they are super strong, and sure, they're avoiding the crashing, which works fine when you're in South Africa only. But if you've got any ambitions international, you need bigger, stronger riders who are going to intimidate and push you around so you can figure out how to handle it.
Yeah, I think in South Africa, there's too much, because the groups are so small, there's too much emphasis on tactics, and it becomes a bit petty. It's not just, go ride in a faster group and learn all those important bunch racing skills, because when you go to world champs, you need to be schooled in that. If you aren't schooled, you are going to get schooled quickly.
Yeah. And it's going to be a horrible lesson. It's horrible.
Yeah. But I know Megan, she's a strong rider. She can hold her own. And also Erin comes from a very strong mountain biking background. She won't be scared to get stuck into that type of fight.
Yeah, tough. Both of them very, very tough goals as well. So, although they put on big smiles and they talk nicely to everyone, it's just you don't want to get in a fight with either of them. They can handle themselves. On to the
Yeah.
junior men. Now, this is the one you were talking about where it would have been. I would not like to have been on that selection committee because there are so many good riders that we could choose from. Obviously, qualifying criteria have placed them with only 2 riders. And yeah, how do you select those? But anyway, let's go through this list of names. Junior men.
Zander Rasmus and Matthew Horter. But I think before we delve into these riders' strengths and abilities, let's just take a step back. Zander Rasmus, Matthew Horter, Joshua Johnson, Gustav Roller, Carter Barnes. Those are just 5 names I listed quickly. Those are 5 riders that all could hold their own and all are deserving of the spot in that too.
Yep.
I think selection criteria and selection policy have played a role here. If you look at all the categories, in each category, the reigning South African road race champion is on that team. So I think that is got to play a factor in this. But yeah, Zander Rasmus, he's been on a good roll of late in Europe. Had a very, very good race in Germany 2 or 3 weekends ago. It was one of the biggest stage races in the world. He was second on stage 1. The team time trial, he slipped down to 3rd. Then on the road stage of the team time trial, also in 3rd place. And then just a bit of a tactical blunder on stage 4, where he slipped from 3rd to 21st on GC. But yeah, all the races he's done, he's a fighter, he's a goer, he's in the mix. A rider that's not going to sit there and wait for a lucky opening. He will go make that lucky opening. So from my point of view,
you could say that character, that personality characterization about both Zander and Matthew. They go and make the racing happen.
Yeah. Yes, Zander's a Hulk smash kind of guy. Matthew Horter, I must be honest, if you had said to me a year ago, Matthew Horter, I would have had to go on a scrap. I remember the name because he won a stage in the under-17 Tour of Assen in 2024, but I wouldn't have known too much about him. But, as the years gone along with his winning SA Junior Road Champs and then following him more and more and more and listening to what he's been doing, he's a quiet, unassuming guy. But he's got on and got stuck into the races. He's based in Holland, so he is quite experienced with the shoulder to shoulder racing, and that was quite clear in some of the earlier parts of this season when all the South African national team guys rode together.
Yes,
you can see the guys who had the international racing experience and the guys who hadn't. So Matthew's got that experience, and also he's a first year junior, so he's going to go to Worlds this year. Experience that whole experience, excuse that. But yeah, he can hold his own. Yeah, and I think both of these 2 guys are going to be. They're not going to sit and wait to have the race happen to them. I'm sure they will look to get into the race, look to animate the race, look to make an impact.
I think that's been the biggest learning curve for our juniors overseas. They realize if they take the race by the scruff of the neck and animate it for themselves, the results come along. Whereas if they sit and watch and wait for the moves and try to be conservative, you get spat out the back. It's just you can't respond to everyone's move. Whereas if you're at the front, the psychology change that goes with taking on a race head on really does make a big difference. And we've seen that with Zander's performances, Matthew's performances. It's been good. So those 2 really good. And then the reserve in there, another classy rider, another good one who's overseas for big chunks of time, racing with one of the biggest junior teams in Europe, is Josh Johnson.
This has got to be a bit of a bittersweet one for Josh. And the reason I say that is SA champs, SA junior road race champs, we all know what happened there. It was a bit of a unexpected race incident, and things worked out the way that they did. And like I alluded to just now, that if you look at all these categories, the current South African road race champion has made selection.
Yeah.
So, could have, would have, should have, but didn't. I'm going to go back to that Sunday afternoon in February. If things had worked out differently,
would have
I
been up there.
suspect,
Yeah,
again, could have, would have, should have, but at the end of the day, didn't. And not taking anything away from any of the riders that we've mentioned earlier. It's just that's the way that it worked out. Yeah,
that's
so
really
Josh is on as reserve, but he is going to be lining up for what I would think would be his preferred event in the junior time trial event. So he's going anyway. And if anything unfortunate had to happen to any one of those two riders, being Matthew or Zander, he would be there to take over that spot. But we hope nothing bad happens to those guys, and that action doesn't have to fall into place.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go into the individual time trial then. Starting with the elite men, we can see one of our reserves pulled up a level now. So Brandon Downs up there and Byron Munton.
Yeah, Byron Munson. So Portugal, the final time trial stage, I think he ran fourth or fifth on the stage. That pulled him up to third on GC. Yeah, medalist, multiple SA medalist multiple medalist at South African time trial champs. Yeah, he's there, 100% do it. Brandon Downs, another rider. He's always been on the podium at SA time trial champs.
Yep. Quality selection there. On the under 23 men, Josh Dyke and Pedri Krauser.
Simple, first and second at SA time trial champs this year. Pedri won, Josh second, no brainer.
And the international experience, so comfortable with all these processes and the big lights and all the photographers and big teams and all of that. They know how to handle themselves there. Junior women, the same two that we had on the road selection, Megan Botha and Erin Mackridge. Both of them capable of putting power down steadily and working hard and suffering, so should be able to handle nicely for themselves.
Yeah. Again, from SA champs, from what's happened this year, that's a no-brainer. Yeah, it's going to be difficult to get a result because the level of the international junior women is
it's massive compared to South Africa.
It's phenomenal. The type of coaching, the training, the technology, the teams that are behind them.
But also the amount of time they spend racing with the men when they don't have dedicated women's racing is massive. Those opportunities for those junior women are massive over there. But let's see how they go. I mean, maybe they surprise us. We'll have to see. I expect a relatively good performance out of them. I know they can push hard. And more than that, we'll see the development of both of those ladies over time. So
just Steve, a quick history lesson here. Man, I should have got prepared this a bit earlier, but now we're talking about the junior ladies at World Champs. Charisse, she was Charisse Taylor at that point.
Yes.
She ran third at Junior Road Race Champs. I think it was 2008, around about there. I think the year before that, she was fourth in the time trial. So from an out and out talent perspective and raw ability perspective, South Africa does have it here. I mean, we were chatting earlier about 2 weeks ago about that New Zealand Olympian track rider, Byrony Botha.
Yes.
She's born in South Africa, from South African family, went across to New Zealand, fell into a program there, and now she's Olympic champion, Commonwealth Games world champion. So from an out-and-out raw talent ability, in South Africa, we do have it.
Tough in South Africa, that's for sure.
And again, if I go back to what I said earlier about the development in Africa, and INEOS are wanting to put up a high performance facility in Kenya. I mean, if you just look at in general, the African genetics, middle distance, long distance runners, the talent is here, definitely.
Yeah. Junior men.
Yeah. Zander Rasmus and Josh Johnson. I think very soon, Josh Johnson, current South African junior time trial champion. I'm going to go out and say it now. I think he's the rider that's got the best chance of delivering the best results from this whole group here. He's proven this year, time trials, man, he can go. The tour in Germany 3 weekends ago, his team, the Grenke team, they won the team time trial. I mean, that's world-class riders. I mean, he's in the same team as the European time trial champion, and they were going toe-to-toe. They were pulling each other to pieces in the team time trial. So I mean, if Josh is going toe-to-toe with a European time trial champion and world champs, he's got a good shot at being in the mix.
And with the infrastructure and the equipment supply of those big teams, it also helps a lot because he's got that backing from the team as well, which is also going to help him a lot.
So, Steve, I'm going to tell a funny story here. This year at provincial time trial champs and SA time trial champs, he was at the warm-up station. I had everything set up there, so I know who he is. I know the team he's riding for. So at provincial champs, he's a very quiet guy, shy guy. He walks over, and I look at him, and I thought, I'm going to pull the piss out of him. So I looked at him and I said, "Hey, boy, where'd you buy that bike from? Where's your dad? You got lots of money to buy a bike like that? And that helmet, where'd you steal that kit from? Tell us, which bike shop did you steal it from?" And he was like, I mean, wow, I was putting the bike on and off the trailers and just looking at that kit. I'm like, yes, that stuff. Whew, that's the real deal.
No, you get proper support when you get up to that level in those things. And Josh is that type of guy. He almost avoids eye contact because he's a little bit shy in the beginning of the interaction. But once he gets comfortable, then he gets cheeky. Cool. Yeah, then he's good fun to be around. Just talking about the management staff for the selection. Team manager in there, the man with the voice. He can do emceeing, he can do video work, he can do management. He is a manager of one of the local pro teams as well. Your man?
Brendan Larson. He's going to go over there to assist with the management of the riders. Be nice exposure for him to get into international racing. It's going to be a lot of work that's involved there. Nice learning experience for him, and I think he will definitely add value to the team.
And then our assistant Tabiso Rengani is in there as well. Team assistant Liesel Krauser. I assume that's something to do with Pedri, is it?
Yeah, Liesel's been on a few of these world champs and national team adventures, so she's familiar with the process. Yeah.
And then team mechanic, I don't know, Fabrice Dagijmana. I hope I said that right. Fabrice. You're allowed to shout at me on social media if I did it all wrong. Give me an education like Jeremy and I say every week on our weekly wrap-up. Send us news, let us know what's happening. And then we get to know everybody as it goes. I just want to read out what Gerrit Fall, our Cycling SA Road Director, had to say about the selections quickly. Rwanda's course will test every rider to the limit. Competing on African soil makes this championship incredibly special for us. It feels like history is calling and our riders are ready to answer. As far as the president of Cycling South Africa, Kondisa Ngwenya, he added a bit more, saying this is more than a race. It's a moment of pride for the entire continent. To see our athletes line up in Kigali is proof of how far African cycling has come. We know they will inspire the next generation. I think they are doing that at the moment, definitely inspiring the next generation. We have our criticisms of how far Cycling South Africa is able to support the riders with these types of events being self-funded. But Cycling South Africa has a place. It is the recipient of the invite of events like this, and the riders go nowhere without these structures in place, without people like Gerrit Fall doing the work they're doing in the road director position. Our president keeping track of things, not our president of the country, our president of Cycling South Africa, Kondisa. And I think we're going to go at some stage and have an in-depth conversation with a few of the people at the top end of the sport, because they're busy doing things behind closed doors. Lots of people don't understand what's going on behind there, but lots of dynamics. Yet we still manage to push out some relatively decent performances every now and then.
Yeah, I think a lot of these riders. No, sorry, let me backtrack here. All of these riders, when the long list were made, all the riders received the expression of interest letter. Would you want to go? And they're explaining all the ins and outs of how and why it would work. All these riders, it will be special. Line up on African soil. The Europeans are going to come to the jungle and they're going to get out of their regular comfort zone. But I think once all said and done, I think Rwanda is going to pull off a very special very special World Championships. I think the level will be high. Everything will comply and will meet and exceed all standards. I think with the riders and management that are going, it is going to be something special.
So that brings me to the wrap-up question of this session. Jeremy, if you had to leave our listeners with one thought about what Kigali represents, not just as a bike race, but as a symbol, what would it be?
dream, believe, achieve, things can be done.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to change the dynamic of a lot of the Europeans. They're going to be looking back at this one going, oh my word, how cool was that race? It's going to live in the memories of a lot of riders, and hopefully we see some good performances from our South Africans out there. We're going to be holding fingers, giving high fives, cheering. We'll do reviews when Worlds comes up, and we'll see if we can have a chat to a few of the riders over time. Jeremy does a lot of those. We'll line those up and have a chat to those riders and see what they're thinking, how they're working, how their minds are going, what their preparation's been looking like. But Jeremy, that's been absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much for making the time.
Cool.
And look forward to our next catch-up. It's the weekly wrap-up on Monday around about 12:30. We'll give it the next go. Guys, have a good one. And to all those riders who made selection, high five. Well done to you guys.
Well done,
guys, absolutely amazing. CSA and the rest of the crew, thank you for everything you do. And to all those riders, keep on rocking it. You guys are doing amazing work. We'll chat later.
Yes.
Okay, let me get us offline, yeah. Offline.